Stand by. Contact.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on all social media platforms. Let me know how I'm doing. Any criticism is good criticism. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a special guest by the name of Sergeant Major Retired Abe Leal. Oh, wait, my bad, wrong one. No, Sergeant Major, that's not. I didn't mean the other one. My bad. I pressed the wrong button. Fat fingered that bad boy. Thanks for coming on. Abe, tell them a little bit about yourself. Say hello to the listeners. Where you come from, how long you were served, billets, and capacities.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, Gunny? Sergeant Major Leal. Just officially retired January of 2024 of 30 years of service. Joined back in 1993, originally from Los Angeles, California. So I'm retired in the Temecula area here in sunny California. Billets I've had, I was an 1833 Amtracker when I first came in. I did that for about, 12 years or so, maybe 14 years. Picked up first sergeant. My units was with 2nd A Battalion up in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Then I went to School Battalion where I was an instructor at Camp Pendleton. Then from there, I went to 3rd Tracks, which if you know, come out Camp Pendleton, Del Mar, it's right across the street. Did that, and then came back in 2003 from the war in Iraq in 2003, and then I went to serve on the B billet as a drill instructor. 3 years as a drill instructor, chief drill instructor, senior drill instructor, etc. in Gulf Company. And then once I came back from there, went back to 3rd Tracks, got selected for first sergeant, and then I ended up going to 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines, deployed with them. Then I ended up going to 1st Marine Regiment, where I did a 1-year deployment with them to Afghanistan, and then got back from that 1-year deployment. Then they moved me over to 1-1 for a little bit, and then I went with 1st Battalion, 1st Marines, deployed with them back to Afghanistan, and then got selected to Sergeant Major when I got back in 2013. As a Sergeant Major, I was a Headquarters Battalion, 29 Palm Sergeant Major for the base out there. Then I went to Recon Battalion, the 1st Reconnaissance Battalion at Camp Pendleton. You know, there's a lot of Camp Pendleton in there, right? And then came from 1st Recon Battalion. Went to Miramar, the MAG 16 as the Group Sergeant Major. And then from the Group Sergeant Major, I went up for the board. I got slated to be the Depot Sergeant Major at MCRD San Diego, which is where I retired from.
Sergeant Major. Look, I'll tell you what. First, I want to say that you're a golf company. And second, you are the definition of homesteading. That is great, guy. That's what's up, Sergeant Major. Dang.
I am they called me a fugitive. So, but I tell you, I would have went anywhere. I didn't buy a house until I knew I was going to retire. So I was always ready to move. I was just very fortunate with my orders to be able to kind of pick where I wanted, and I was always ahead of it. So that's the game, right? Stay ahead of it. When you're on year 2.5 or 3 years, you gotta be talking to that monitor and seeing what's available and where you think you may be headed.
I like that. Prepare to prepare. That's good gouge. And how's retirement treating you?
Retirement's good. I'm working up in Fontana. It's a little bit, I was driving from Temecula to the depot, an hour south. Now I'm driving about an hour north, 50 minutes or so to Fontana, and working at Fontana High School as a Marine Corps JROTC instructor. So it's great. I love it. I actually really do like that job.
Hell yeah. I always see it on MOL. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I always see it. I'm like, maybe I should just do that now, but I have 6 more years at the minimum. Right. So we'll see. That looks tempting.
Not anymore. They just changed the rules now. So before you used to have to be retired. I don't know. I'm not too far. I haven't read into it, but I think now you only have to have 8 years and an honorable discharge, and you can serve as an ROTC instructor.
That's dope.
Yeah, so you may want to look in. I don't know if there's a more admin on that or not. I know I just came from a conference in Quantico, so I'm still going to Quantico. I just got back a week or so ago, and that's kind of one of the things they were talking about is that they just changed it now to where it's. I think they said 8 years and honorable discharge, and you could serve as ROTC instructor.
I don't know. Look, I'm indifferent about that little change because that was something I look forward to. Now all the billets are going to be taken. What the heck?
Well, I don't know. It's one of those jobs where not a lot of people like to do it. A lot of people who did 20, 30 years or whatever, they don't want to wear the uniform no more. They want to grow their beards. I still get height and weighted.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I still wear the uniform. We don't have to do a PFT or CFT, but you're supposed to be able to pass a PFT, but I'm 100% disabled. My passing would probably be like a third class right now.
amen.
I can still do my pull-ups, and I can still I can probably get my planks. So I haven't done planks since I retired, but the run time with a bad back, bum knee, it gets a little harder every now and then. But
So
I'm still more physically fit than the young kids though, because I still outrun them.
hell yeah, that's what's up. Grown man strength. That's what I'm talking about, Sergeant Major. Run them in circles. That's what I tell my daughter. She's 16 right now, and I go, look, you might think you're talking all this trash, but once we get to the track, your ass is smoke. You know what I'm saying? But look, I got to tell you what. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Again, before we get to the meat and potatoes of the podcast, thank you for your service. 30 years to this great nation. On this, belated 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to you and your family. Hope you enjoyed the vacation. I know you're on vacation for 3 months, right?
Yeah, go back in. I've been off since May 21st.
Are you still getting paid?
Yeah.
What?
Well, so there's 2 different contracts. There's 10-month contracts and there's 12-month contracts. So it just depends on where you work. Some people don't. Some people do.
Interesting. Well, nice. Look, man, kudos to you, Abe. I like that. You're doing big, better things outside the uniform, or relatively speaking, right?
Sometimes in uniform.
Sometimes in uniform, yeah. That's awesome. So you're like halfway in, halfway out of transition, right?
Yeah, I'm with, we work with teachers, and I don't really deal too much. I had to go to a course here, every now and then we got to do a course. TCOM is our hire. Mm-hmm. We fall under training and education command. But the interactions with them is not too much or not too frequent. I'm not getting any phone calls. I go into work at the school. I teach some classes, and I go home.
That's dope. That's all. That's all. You know what? You're not a recruiter or anything, but you're doing a great job recruiting. Humble you. Look at you.
Yeah. Well, that was my job where I retired. Was as the depot sergeant major, you get the depot, but you also get Western Recruiting Region.
Yeah.
So I had all the recruiters with, so I learned a little bit of what they do out there.
Look, let me. I'm gonna have to have you on another podcast session if you don't mind. I'm gonna get you on a video. I know that we were discussing that earlier, but I got to get you on a video too. And the reason why I got you on, man, I'll tell you what, retirement transition. Let's talk about that real quick. Were you prepared?
Yes, I was prepared. I got prepared because I was originally going to retire out of MAG 16. And, I think I would have had 24 or 26 years, somewhere around there. And then I was not prepared. I never went to medical. I had no idea what I was doing. Luckily, I had a good, commander that, let me do my thing. The problem with a sergeant major and retiring, and this probably goes for any senior enlisted, any officer or whatever, but you're 1-on-1. There's not 3 other staff NCOs who could take my place, if that makes sense. Stand in for me while I'm out. So there's that balance of I got to take care of me, but I also still have 1,000 Marines or well, as a depot sergeant major, I had like 10,000 Marines or 8,000 or whatever it was, depending on how many recruits we had on deck. But you still got to take care of all those Marines as well. So you got to find that balance of doing it. Luckily at MAG 16, I was, there wasn't a lot going on. The units, I was, up in the kind of higher echelon where I had commanders and sergeant majors that actually ran the squadron. So I was able to do a little bit more medical. But if I had to do it over again, I would say the first thing for transition, no matter where you're at, for you as a gunny, go to medical now and start getting everything documented. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, gouge. I'll tell you what, I talked to a lot of service members that transition, and the first thing they said is they're not prepared. They're not prepared. They're not prepared. There's not enough time. And for you, I think it's even a little bit more difficult because you are 1 of 1. There's nobody to replace you. And anytime away from the, the boys, or boys is a term of endearment. Everybody, boys is like a depot thing. Boys means it's all encompassing, girls and boys, right? But I got to say, anytime away from the, the desk or the troops, it could really put a bind in. But I got to say, I mean, you did it well. It sounds like you're doing a great job. You transitioned, you were ready, and then you weren't ready, and then you got ready again. And to those listening, prepare yourself to prepare to get out. I got to preach. I got to say it. Once you come in, sign the dotted line, you go to your first duty station, you're ready to go, hit the ground running. And now you prepare to get out, because it's not going to last forever.
It's not going to last forever. And honestly, as much as you love the Corps, and I love the Corps, I love the Marine Corps, but it's kind of harsh, is that once you have a retirement ceremony, and this is what I learned, right? I had my retirement ceremony. Everybody was there. I saw people that came from, I hadn't seen in years. And then you go home and they go back to work. You know what I'm saying? So nobody's going to take care of you except you, because they got to go back to running and gunning, take care of Marines and doing what they do as leaders. They got to go back to that. So you're going home at 1300 whenever your ceremony's over, and they're all going back to work, and they're working, and then you're at home. And so, if you don't do what you need to do, or you don't take the time to take care of yourself, then nobody's going to do it for you, because you're just going to walk out the gates and you're going to see the base in the rearview mirror, and that's it.
Oh boy, that's surreal.
That's the harsh reality, right? Your phone I think it was kind of hard for me when I first, 30 years of 100 miles an hour, the depot sergeant major, I was still in early, going into, lights or evening lights, staying late, traveling through Western recruiting region, here or there, to moto runs, all that stuff. And then you come home and, for the first month, it's just nothing. No phone calls, no emails, no meetings, right? No nothing. No video conferences, no nothing. And then you're just like, what do I do? And you're just sitting there like, what do I do? I couldn't sleep for like the first month.
Yo, did you put that in your VA claim or what? Because that's trauma for sure.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, all that's in, the sleeping and all that, but still it was like, because when you're up early and you're running PT and you're walking around and you're going from the flight line to the tool room, or you're, drill, wherever it is you're retiring from, you're busy. And then if you don't have a job lined up, luckily I started school in August, right? So I only had 2 months of downtime. Because I started, obviously, I'm a teacher, so I went to school. But for those 2 months, I mean, I started Ubering just to kill time.
Wow. Sergeant Major of 30 years honorable service, Ubering. I couldn't imagine that drive. Like, hey, I Ubered Sergeant Major Leal. That's crazy.
Yeah, and sometimes I would run into Marines. They'd be like, Sergeant Major, like, hey, what's up, man?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But
that is
do it because there's nothing to do at the house, man.
That's surreal. Are your kids out? Are the kids already old enough or what?
Yeah, so I mean, I was married and divorced. So I have 3 kids in my first marriage. They're all out of the house. I had a 3-year-old and some boys with my new relationships.
Nice. So congratulations. I know, you're in the valley now. You're in the hill. That's good. It's good, man. You're climbing the hill.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Congratulations to you and your family for the transition. To your oldest ones who experienced all that with you. Hopefully, there is great pastures at the very end of it. You know what I'm saying? So you reap the benefits of that. Look, Sergeant Major, I'll tell you what, Abe. Again, thank you for coming on. I know you're a busy man. Obviously, you're in summer break, so you're not that busy. But I got to say that you're going to come on again because we got to touch on some things in terms of the 89, 99 community. And again, I don't want this to be a professional complaint or some gossip fest, because it's not. This is a professional podcast. I would like to think that service members need to really help service members, and we don't know what happens at your level, Sergeant Major. I'm gonna be honest with you. We just see you, and then we don't see you. And I know that there's things happening behind closed doors that we probably, we don't get paid enough to be part of, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But I think that the more we shed light on things, the easier it is for GP at my level to be like, yeah, I know what he's what I'm about. Sergeant Major Leal, that's what I'm talking about. So that's what we got to hit on the next one. But I got to talk about. Do you remember? Was it you? I think it was you that came out to my my ceremony with the general. Was that you? out in the front of the footsteps, you got an email from me, CC'd.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. I don't know how many you went to, but I remember I was like, man, I'm going to CC these guys. Let's see if they come out. And there, sure enough, the general came out. You came out. And I'm like, dope. The first.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Your show.
No, I mean, we try to get to as many as we can. Sometimes we can't always make it, but the ones we can, we definitely have to get out there when you can.
Yeah, I was privileged. Ladies and gentlemen, to get them out there. They're busy people doing big things for the Western Caribbean region. But I remember the first thing he said. The one of the things he said was like, "Hey, I appreciate you emailing me and taking the opportunity to invite me, because you don't get." Let alone going out to one, getting the invites. How many invites did you actually get?
I would get
from staff stars and gunnies.
I mean, I honestly, I would get a few. Because the thing with the depot is, it's so small, and I was there for so long. I was there more than the average sergeant major because I ended up retiring out of there. So I stayed longer than the normal sergeant major would. Usually it's 2.5 years or something like that. I ended up staying like 3.5 years there. But I built relationship, because I would walking lights, evening lights, morning lights, coming out to the parade deck on Saturdays and watching drill, and just seeing the young drill instructors become seniors, become chiefs, become drill masters, and go to DI school. So, I got invited to a good handful, but the other part of it is I'm also the depot sergeant major, and people don't want to, even though they may want to invite. Because then they get why you email the depot sergeant major?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Normally I would get it through the first sergeant or something like, hey, staff sergeant or gunny's retiring or moving on. We're having a drill, cover ceremony for him or something like. So I would somehow get it through other chains, just sergeant majors or something would usually invite.
Yeah. I remember. I told Randall Parks. I don't know if you remember him or not, but
yeah, dude.
I told Randall, I was like, hey, just so you know, the general and sergeant major are coming. And then he started sweating bullets. I remember I was like, hurry the fuck. He was like, hurry that fuck. Hurry up, everybody. All the company was trying to get out there on time because the general was coming. I was like, first sergeant, I don't even know if he's coming. I'm just saying. And sure enough, you guys were out there right on time. I was like, damn, that's what's up.
Yeah, that's why, again, sometimes I learned the hard way in that billet of what the depot sergeant major actually was down there. You can't just go up to somebody and be like, hey, what's up, man? How you been, dog? Hey, come by my office later. You know what I mean? Come say what's up. So I see somebody I haven't seen in a while, because then they go tell the first sergeant, hey, I'm gonna go see Sergeant Major Leal. He wants to talk to me. And then it's, why do you want to talk to you? What do you mean he wants to talk to you? And then, you know what I mean? And then I get a phone call, hey, why do you need to see Staff Sergeant whoever? Or why do you want to talk to Gunny? And it's like, none. I was with him. I served with him before. I haven't seen him in a while, and I didn't have time to talk. So I just want to hang out. But so I learned to kind of go through the chains and explain, hey, Sergeant Major, can you get what's name for me? Hey, I just want to talk to him. Kind of give the whole spiel of why I want to see him. Otherwise, people just start panicking, right?
Yeah, I know, man. That's crazy. And how is it? Like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread while you're in, and then all of a sudden you have the depot, the base on your rear view mirror, and then you're kind of just. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was ready for it. You like I said, you're used to going 100 miles an hour, and then it literally just stops. And my hard transition. I mean, I knew I had a job lined up, but I had to wait 2 months for that job. So I did want to take some time off, but when you're just sitting around a house doing nothing, or maybe some little projects here, projects there. You're not running and gunning. I'm not up at 04 or 05, and it just, you're not expending the energy. At least I wasn't. You're not expending the energy that I was used to doing. I think, I think my body wasn't used to it. And I think that's why in the beginning I had a hard time, sleeping. I was like, dude, I got to find something to do. Like, I need to do something. So I just to kill time. I think I did maybe 3 weeks of Uber, but I was like, I'm just going to do Uber or whatever and get out the house and do. And then, my girlfriend's like, you need to get out the house. You know what I mean?
You're driving me crazy.
Yeah. Now I'm used to it. Right now I'm good. I have summer, we're doing something. We went on vacation, I'm doing things right now. I'm sleeping fine. But that first month was like, for me anyway, I don't know how this goes, but for me, I was just like, oh my God, I had to find something to do. So I don't know how people just stay retired and do nothing.
That's a fat. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. I would hit on that, but who cares at this point? They're out. Who cares? Congratulations.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. There's I know I messaged you a couple. Maybe last week or the week before, and I hit some topic. Some little topics of discussion like retirement transition, toxic leadership, and I'm gonna get you on the other session for the 89 community. What we see, what we don't see, what we need to know, what we don't need to know, kind of thing on a different session. I got to talk about. You're the base, the Western recruiting and base, the Depot Sergeant Major. And in my opinion, and this is my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, and nobody else's, I think we got to discuss toxic leadership, whether it be on the depot or I don't know if it happens too much on recruiting duty, but I'd say that for sure on the depot, there's a little bit of leadership that is questionable, maybe not toxic, but there's questionable leadership and questionable things that we do as senior leaders to our fellow brothers and sisters. And I don't know why or the need to know. I need to know why we do it. Can you touch on, some of the things that you experience again in detail or not? But I think the listeners would like to know your the honest opinion, Sergeant Major. Like, look, this is the leaderships that we encounter, and this is how we can be resilient through them.
Yeah. I've been fortunate that I've been around good commanders. I mean, I don't think my commanders or myself in the commands I've been have toxic. Now, there may be some young Marines out there who may have a different opinion, but sometimes toxic leadership is relative to the individual because, he may just be being held accountable for something he did or, whatever. And, they can consider that toxic depending on what happened to them, right? But sometimes you do get toxic leadership. When I was, as the Western Recruiting Region Sergeant Major and the Depot Sergeant Major, I had a lot of commands under me, and we did relieve some commanders and almost relieve some commanders or command teams for toxic leadership. But what they'll find is that just because someone makes an allegation, there's got to be a whole investigation process. There were times where we had investigations that were leaders were accused of being toxic, but when you read the investigation, you find out they really weren't that toxic. They're just holding these Marines to standards and holding people accountable for their actions. That's not toxic leadership. The Marines just didn't like it the way that it was, right? But then you find other ones where, I've always been a sergeant major, and me, you were down there with me. I felt like I talk to people how I'm talking to you right now. I don't think me moving up a chain or being a sergeant major chain. I talk to you and now how I talk to the PSC. Yep. Right. I believe I was firm and fair. I could be cool, and I can also rip your ass. I don't have a problem doing that either, right? Or just be very upfront on what you need to change, or or what you're doing good or what you're doing bad, right? So sometimes you'll find toxic leaders don't always do that. How they talk to people, how they treat people, how they treat their fellow officers or fellow enlisted is not always, I don't want to, I guess you could look at the cliche, treat people how you want to be treated, right? You can't always do that being a leader, sometimes, but you can. And I think that's how, in those instances, is how toxic leaders were created. If I'm telling you you're a piece of shit and you fucking suck, there's another way to say that.
Oh,
right?
I see. Of course, it's your show. You could do as you please, Sergeant Major. I'm just here having a conversation. Sense? Absolutely. Look, let me ask you this. I had to say, treat others how you want to be treated, and you said, well, you can't do that all the time in leadership, but why not? Why not?
How you talk to people, you can't, right? Like I said, I talk to people, but there may be instances where you need to be that firm leader. And you may have to get in somebody's behind or chew somebody's ass. But there's a professional way that you can still yell at somebody without demeaning them. That's kind of what I mean by that. And there are instances with toxic leaders, they demean people. They bully people. The stuff, how they talk to people, how they treat people is just uncalled. And you're reading it sometime, you're just going, what the hell are these guys thinking? Right? Like, what are they doing?
I gotta ask,
because that has a chain effect, right?
Yep. I agree. I talked to Randall, a couple of months back, and he talks the same thing. The chain, it has a ripple effect in the water, and how certain, units or companies or whatever the case, whatever have you, are execute operations, day-to-day operations, and Marines won't know any different because that's all they're used to. And then when somebody does speak out, it leads to an investigation, which I don't think it should ever go that far. I think that, if the dude is doing right by himself and right by others, I mean, we're our brother's keeper, Sergeant Major.
Yeah.
If we're not, then who is? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not. I think we're in a culture. I don't know when you come in You said 1993.
Yeah, 1993.
Man, God darn, what was I doing in 1993? I was in elementary school.
Probably when you were born.
No, I was born. I said, take it easy. I'm not that young. I was born in 88, so I was a couple. I was a little devil dog in making. But I got to say, when I first came in, right in 2000, and again, it wasn't. I'm not anybody. I'm not an old head. I'm not any of that. I'm kind of in between. But in 2010. We were in the grind. It was drawdown. Everybody was getting forced out or volunteering to get out early because the war was already, it was backing down kind of thing. And so, and I'm an 01 by trade. We were in the grind, like 04 coming in, doing transitions, retirements, whatever they have you, and then going until 2100, and then doing the next day because everybody had to get out. And it created relationships where we were, closely knit, whether you work days or nights. And I was on nights most of the time. And we were a tight knit group. And we had each other's back, whatever have you, money, rides, this, that, and the other. I couldn't pay my bill. They helped me with money, whatever the case may be. I don't know how we made it on our first duty station. Thank God we did. But it created some type of atmosphere or in terms of my brother's keeper. And as I grew in the Marine Corps, somewhere along the line, it changed. And I realized it changed right after the depot. And not saying that depot, I saw some things, that I experienced something, and I did. But after that, I realized that, dang, it's a dog-eat-dog world. Ain't nobody got your back anymore. Why is that? At least from my vantage point. Maybe not from yours, because I think that let's be real, Sergeant Major. You were kind of away from the GP, the folks on the line. Yes, is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so your experience changes and it stays the same at the same time because you left, let's say you just left the working line and that's what you had nothing but good things to say. And that's what you left with. But now it's changed. The culture has changed. Why do you think, in your opinion, why has the culture changed and we're not our brother's keeper and we don't have each other back now? And I hear from dudes that transition out.
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons you could say that, right? I mean, one, when your first 4 years, you're probably going to be the tightest group of people that you'll ever have. I mean, my first 4 years, I still have friends to this day of my first 4 years at Camp Lejeune and all the stuff that we went through. You're a young Marine day in and day out. As you pick up rank, right? One, the 30 platoon becomes 3 or 4 as a staff sergeant, and you and 01 gunny, you're probably 101, maybe, unless you're in an IPAC, right? But if you're like in a stop at a battalion, you're probably the senior Marine, maybe you have master, right? So it's always lonelier at the top. And I think those relationships build, in my opinion, during workups, during ITXs, during deployments. That's kind of, you come in because you've been on deployment, right? So you talk, like you talk about that deployment, like, oh man, our team was good. Hopefully it was good, right? The team was good, but then you come back, everyone's going to go their different ways. They're all going to get orders, and now you have to build that again. So I think that's part of it. I think another reason, and again, I was at the depot, so it's a different breed down there, right? I don't know if I saw it a little bit at Mag 16. Staff NCOs, or at least the ones there were some when I was down there, they don't want to necessarily put in those hours or do those things. They want to go home, right? Instead of, hey, let's go have a barbecue. Hey, let's do some team building. Let's do, hey, Friday night, let's get the platoon. Let's go out to bowling, or you don't see that too much anymore, right? Because I think staff sergeants, even some young sergeants, they don't want to be there after hours. They want to work they want to go home at 16:30, 1700. They want to go home. The problem is, as you pick up rank, it's more responsibility. You should be working longer hours, not less hours. You should be sending Marines home. You're a chief and an admin. You should be sending your Marines home early Friday, and then you stay late till 1600, right? And give your Marines a time off, or do more things, to build, cohesion, to become brothers and sisters. You have to build that. I don't think it's something you can just create. I think it's something you have to build. And I think the staff NCOs and sergeants and leaders need to be wanting and willing to build that,
That's interesting, because I've heard, I got to say, I mean, to your point, I agree. I 100% agree. Well, for the most part, I agree. I'd say that the culture is maintained and executed by the staff NCO ranks. And if I'm feeling that way, it's probably because my peers are not doing it anymore. They see retirement down the road. They got 4 years left, 5 years left, whatever have you. And they see that. They don't see troops. They see them. Yeah. That's good.
So I taught the career course. I used to teach the career course seminar and the advanced course seminars on the depot when I was down there. And I've been doing it for a while now. But I used to teach, they come in once a week, and I'd get all these staff sergeants and all these gunnies, and they kind of would, not to the same extent, but ask that kind of the same question, right? And I would say, all you different leaders, I would have 10 to 15 staff sergeants, 10 to 15 gunnies, right? If you guys are all saying these are the things you see, like you're asking me that question about culture, like, where does the change come from? It's only going to come from you. There are 15 people, 15 different units. You see the things that you consider to be wrong, or people not building relationships, or not, my brother's keeper, my sister's keeper, whatever it is. Like, that changes with you all, the leaders in here. If you want that to change, you have to make that change. Otherwise, it's never going to change, because the young NCOs, corporals, sergeants, and lance corporals, they don't know what they don't know, right?
Yep.
If they've never experienced it, and they never experienced those type of things before, or that type of camaraderie, how are they going to know about it if it's not coming from the people who have experienced it?
Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to complain, then I would say to you, then you also need to look yourself in the mirror and how can you fix it with your section, with your shop? Because that section may be 10 today, but if 5 or 6 stay in and they all go their different ways, right? Those 6 now get 10. That little group of 10 is now 60 or 70. Because, does that make sense?
Absolutely. It resonates with me. I had to ask your opinion on it. That's crazy. The ripple effect that it creates.
Yeah. Marines are going to learn from you, whether good or bad. If you're a bad leader, they're going to learn from you on hopefully what not to do. If you're a good leader, they're going to look to you and say, oh, like, hey, man, Gunny set a good example. Sergeant Major, they set good examples, right? And like you said, I'm far away from the pole. Marines, they'll say depot sergeant major, but they ain't looking at me. They ain't seeing me every day.
Mm-hmm.
My example is just not falling out of the run at my level, right? Like, don't fall out of the run.
Yeah.
Make some good decisions. What I mean? Like, make sure the sergeant majors are working. And that's what was really, that's what's, as you get up in sergeant major billets, because there's different levels, right? There's the battalion, there's the regiment, and the general officer. But as you get up in these different levels, I'm the one mentoring the sergeant majors and the first sergeants now, and the sergeant major mentoring the first sergeants and the gunnies, to kind of do that, to disperse that, the things I believe in or whatnot, and mentor them so that they can get their battalions how they want it, and the first sergeants can get their companies, and the gunnies can get their series or whatever, right? Implementing those things. So
that's good. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuning in, I'd say that you missed out on the first 30 minutes of a good gouge, but now you're kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of toxic leadership, retirement, transition with Sergeant Major Abe Leal, retired. Thank you for your service. Look, that resonates with me. If it doesn't resonate with my peers, the ones that are listening, look, then you probably should get out. I would reconsider why you're even in, to be honest. Yeah, because if that's the culture that you're experiencing and I'm experiencing, then I got to really look in the mirror and say, like, look, what are you actually in for at this point?
Yeah, I mean, once you pick up NCO, you should be focused on, mentoring young Marines and how you can mentor them, right? And develop them. If you're not looking to do that and you just want to come into work and go home and be with, and that's fine, you could be with family, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Like, uh, you have to find, everyone talks about balance and harmony, right? You have to try to find that balance. But sometimes, even now as an ROTC instructor, I find myself working late. I've coming into my kids, I got a Raider program. It's kind of like PT, right? It's kind of like the physical fitness competitions that we do. And they want to come in and they said, Sergeant Major, can we come in the summer and do some workouts? So I've woken up 04 to get down there by 06. Like I'll leave by 5, right? 04:45. I get down there by 6 and kids show up and I don't have to do that. I'm retired and I'm on summer break, but I'm putting in the effort because that's what they want. And then I'm trying to develop them and mold them as well, because that's what the ROTC program is about, right?
Yeah.
I can definitely sleep in and do better things, but those are sacrifices staff NCOs and sergeants have to make for their junior Marines sometimes. And it may be, like I said, send them home early and you stay late, or, tell them the wife or the missus or the husband, hey, look, I'm going to do something with the Marines tonight, at the bowling alley, or, we're going to go watch a movie or whatever it is, right? We're going to go to Dave and Buster's for a couple hours. Like I'll be home late tonight or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to build camaraderie or something.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, that's good, Abe. I appreciate that. That's, if you're listening, again, tuning in, that's some good gals right there. You got to make time. And sometimes that balance and harmony. I talked to, Dylan Hernandez. He mentioned that balance and harmony, like you gotta figure out a good balance between work, life, and then try to make it harmonized together. That was good. I never heard that before. And I truly think that's good gouge for the service members across the board, whether you're, Army, Air Force, or Navy. I
always talked about quality of time, not quantity of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was something I always talked to DI school. One of the things I always talked about DI school was, hey, look, it's going to be hard to find balance here. The hours you're working. So when you are home, you have to try to make those hours count, right? And have good quality time for the 5 hours or window you may get, not necessarily, 3 days of something of just sitting at home doing nothing. Right?
Yeah.
Make your time count. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Abe, again, thank you for your service. I can't say it enough. 30 years to this great nation. I know that it's done something for you, and I know that you've have a long lasting impact on people, and definitely me for sure. Just even the small thing, just coming out to my cover ceremony was, speaks volumes of you and the general. I forget his name too at the same time. What's his name? Do you remember his name?
It was either Morris or Heritage. Probably Morris. No, Randall. Was Randall still there?
Yeah, it was Heritage, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Heritage.
It was Heritage. Yeah, that one sounds familiar. Yeah, it was just, it resonates, like out of your busy schedule, you got a lot of things to do and probably bigger fish to fry. You definitely came to fry my fish, and I appreciate that very much, Abe. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem, man. We do what we can.
Hey, look, where can they reach you if they want to know more about you, about retirement, transition, and toxic leadership, Abe?
They can always just call my cell or hit me up on Instagram. I think it's Abe_36 or something like that. I'm on Instagram. But you can go to Fontana High School, ROTC. I think my number and email is there as well. So you can hit that link up. And, again, I always have Marines reaching out to me for career advice or, letter of recs, whatever the case is. I have Marines reaching out to me all the time. So not a big deal, just explain who you are, because, I don't have everybody's number saved. So just, hey, Sergeant Major, I'm such and such, just heard you on the podcast. I have a question or, whatever. I'll give any advice I can and learn. Because transition, even though I was ready for it, even though I felt like I was prepared, I was still learning things. And there were still things I was talking to my counterparts like, hey, how did you do this? Hey, what about this? Hey, I heard about this. Did you hear about that? They're like, oh, yeah, I do this. So, there's still things that you may hear or that, that you may get through that maybe TRS doesn't cover or something like that for transition that, you may have to ask somebody, or something. So.
Yeah, of course.
Or contact VA. Like I went through the same person, the VA person I went through to run my claim had done a couple of my friends, and they were like, hey, this girl's good. Call her. She'll do your claim. She's awesome. She's at Camp Helton. So, I got the number, called her, and those are the things like those are the things you get from, reaching out to people and asking questions.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have got that person had I not reached out and said, hey, who did you go through for your VA claim? Like, who did you contact? Like, oh, this person, call this person. She's on Camp Pendleton, blah, 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 blah. And then sure enough, she did everything for me, made sure I was good, went through my medical, like very detailed, very thorough. And, I'm 100% disabled and permanent disabled. So,
yeah, it's all about that. It's all about getting outside your comfort zone. Asking for help is the biggest thing. And some of us are a little bit prideful. I'd say the majority of Marines are a little bit prideful, so we don't do it until it's too late, or not too late, or it's kind of getting, procrastination and your EAS is coming up, your retirement date's coming up, and then you're like, oh, snap, I wasn't ready at all, right? And that's when we start asking for help. When it's a little bit too late or something negative has happened. And I got to touch every time, since we're here to help service members, Sergeant Major, Marines struggle the most. And I mean, all services struggle, but I think for Marines, we struggle the most because we breed anxiety from the very get-go, from the yellow footprints all the way down to you get out. We breed anxiety. And unfortunately, it's good and bad because we're a warfighting organization, and I understand. And I think everybody does too. However, when we transition, the majority of us struggle with mental health. Depression, anxiety starts to really kick in. Just like you said, it's real surreal when you see it on the back of your rearview mirror and you're not ready for it. And sometimes we're not. And sometimes these things happen, like SI happens outside of uniform. Can you provide a tool for service members across the board that can make them resilient in these situations, and those ones that are considering that ultimate sacrifice, and give them that resilience, that tool for resilience in that situation?
I think just the tool is really just, reach out to your friends. I think that when there are those instances that people have those types of thoughts or those types of things, they kind of stay alone in their house, or, they're not wanting to talk to somebody, so, get out and talk to, again, like I said, the phone is not going to ring when you get out. It's not, and it's not that they don't care. It's not that, people don't want to talk to you. It's just that they're working from 05:30 till 1800 every day. And so you're not part of those conversations anymore. So you're going to find yourself from being, the depot sergeant major or whatever billet you're at right now to it's just going to be you and your family. Especially if you move out of state. I'm in California, so I still see a lot of people, and I'm affiliated with the ROTC program, so I still see a lot of people. I'm still around Marines, but a lot of people ain't going to be around no Marines. They're going to move to Idaho. You know what I mean? I don't know. They're going to go wherever they go, right?
Yeah.
And so just maintaining those contacts, reaching out, and I don't know any Marine, regardless of rank, active duty, retired, that is not going to answer a phone call if you call and say, "Hey, man, I really need to talk to you. Like, can you call me back?" Like they're going to call you back. Or, and I've had those conversations where some people have called me late at night and I'm like, dang, I haven't heard from this guy in years. Like, what's going on? Like, it's like 11 o'clock at night, right? Mm-hmm. But I pick up the phone, like, why are you calling me 11 o'clock at night? I haven't heard from 5 years. So answer the phone. Hey, what's up, man? And then, you're drunk late at night, and it's just like, just talking them through the problems that they may have.
Yeah, so, that's good. Be available.
Yeah, you need to be available. But you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be able to reach out, because I guarantee there's people going through the same thing. I couldn't sleep for the first month or two until I started working again. I'm tossing and turning, like just anxiety, like damn, like just had to find something to do. Had to start doing something, right? And then calling like, hey man, how was it when you got out? And then finding out as I talk to people, because I'm like, hey man, I'm having trouble sleeping. You having trouble sleeping? Yeah, it was like that for the first week. You just gotta, it's just, and then having those people to talk to, right? Because you may not think it's normal, but it may be.
Right? That's good. That's good, Abe. I appreciate it. Sergeant Major, thank you for coming out. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're on summer break. So again, we got to put on the calendar in the next couple of weeks, get you back on to talk about, some of the talking points that I messaged you on Instagram for. If you're down, I'm down. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe. everywhere you get your podcasts and on all social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism. And again, thank you for those that follow, like, and subscribe, and even take that 30-inch step to donate to the cause. I appreciate it very much. Me and my family are grateful and truly blessed by your contributions to this podcast. Thank you very much. Abe, it's been a pleasure, and it'll be a pleasure again when I get you on in a couple of weeks. I hope you're down.
Yeah, I'm down. Just hit me up. Let me know when. And again, I'm off for a couple weeks. I am going to Vegas here like on the 19th or something like that. So it won't be that weekend, but any other weekend I'm free.
Sounds good. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We out. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, or weekday.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, we out.
All right, out.
Bye-bye.
Stand by, contact. Ceasefire. Stand by, contact. Ceasefire.
Pit Talk is a podcast featuring active service members who discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.